Hi again. Welcome to Chess Based Workshop. I'm Steve Lopez. Thank you for joining us, clicking on that link and coming along for the ride for this presentation. We've been talking about ways to play against the Fritz family of playing programs. Fritz, Ribka, Junior, Hierarchs, Schroeder, and others. There's still Zap Chess out there hanging around and some others you can play against in here. But talking about ways to play against them without getting killed game after game after game. I've said it before, I'll say it again, to the point where you're either going to drill it into you or you're tired of hearing it, or both. And that is, there's no reason to play against Fritz or any of these programs at full strength unless you are in the habit of playing against strong titled players. If you're a tournament player and you regularly face grandmasters, international masters, sure, play against Fritz at full strength, because that's going to be very competitive for you. But for those of us whose feet actually touch the ground when we walk, those of us who are mere mortals with feet of clay, we must dumb down the software. And I don't mean that pejoratively. I'm not saying you're dumb for having to do this. That's not what I mean. But we do need to reduce the strength of the playing program. Otherwise, we just get crushed over and over and over again, and that's demoralizing. That's what leads to alcoholism and other bad things. What you want to do is make this software give you a competitive game in which you have a chance to win without it killing you, just totally blowing you off the board. And that's what we've been looking at over the last 3 chess-based workshop videos. This is the 4th and last of a series. We're going to talk about one more playing mode in which you get a competitive game against the computer, and it's not going to kill you, and it actually has some benefits in playing in this mode. Let me show you. First of all, as we've seen before, we've got a bunch of menus up at the top. We're going to go to Training, and this time around there's a big old button. It's not one of these small buttons. It's a big old button right here. It's called Sparring Mode. That's a boxing glove, by the way. Click on the boxing glove and you get Sparring Mode. This is probably one of the most misunderstood features of the Fritz family of playing programs. I've actually argued with people over what this does. Trust me, I know what this does. I knew this was in development years before it ever came out in Fritz. It came out, as I recall, in Fritz 5, which was in 1997. I heard about this mode probably 3 years prior to its introduction. It was just worked on for a long time. Here's the deal. What this is. Don't worry about the dialogue yet. Don't worry about this stuff. Just listen to me for a moment. What this does is it works backwards to the way a chess computer normally works. When a chess computer is analyzing a position, the way it's supposed to work, what it normally does, is try to find the best move in that position. It looks ahead, down through the game tree, and I'm not going to go through the whole long explanation. This has been talked about a million times. I've written about it a million times. But it goes down through that game tree, and if somewhere out there in its search, it sees something that's good for you, you can drop a knight fork in and fork the software's king, queen, and rook. It's going to steer away from that position. It doesn't want that to happen. It's bad for the software. It's bad for its position. It doesn't want that to occur. That's why you can't beat a computer tactically. It's going to see the tactic before you do. Long before you do, and it's going to try to go to a different kind of position so that tactic doesn't come up. You don't get a tactical shot against a chess computer. I've been hearing people complaining about this for 20 years. Even now I hear people complaining about it because they don't know about this feature in the Fritz family of programs. Computers, unless they're messed with somehow, do not allow you to beat them tactically. You don't get that opportunity, except in very rare circumstances, very exceptional circumstances. I'm not going to say it never happens. Sure, I've thrown a pin in there once in a while against a piece of software, but only because something else was going on in another part of the board, and I got that pin in there, and it didn't matter worth a lick because the program went over on the queen side and crushed me. So what it does as a piece of software is a chess engine, a chess computer is looking out there into the game tree, and it sees a tactic that you can use to win material. It's going to steer away from it. It's not going to let you get anywhere near it. What Sparring Mode does, what clicking on the little boxing glove does, is it sets up a special mode where Fritz looks for tactics that you can play, and instead of steering away from those positions, it steers toward them. It tries to let you get tactical shots in against the chess engine. And that, friends, is a monster feature. And the bad part of it is a lot of people don't use it. I can't get tactics in against my computer. You can if you do it in sparring mode. That's what this is for. This sets up tactics for you to play against your chess engine, against Fritz, against Ribka, against Schroeder, whatever one you're playing. How does it work? Well, I already told you how it works as far as the guts of the program. If it sees a tactic way out there in the game tree, it's going to steer toward it, try to get the game into that position instead of steering away from it. But what does that mean to you, the user? That's what this dialogue is. Two things that you need to be aware of in this dialogue. First of all, point out wins is a checkbox. You can check it and uncheck it. Okay? What pointing out wins does if you check it is that when that tactic appears on the chessboard, when the time comes where you've got that tactic, and we'll talk about how to set that up here in a moment. But let's say you have it set for very easy, and it's a two-move tactic that's going to allow you to get a knight fork in to fork the king, the Fritz's king and queen. When that time comes where that two-mover has come up and it's your turn to move, a light will appear on the board. It'll be like a little dashboard light. Now, I'm not going to sit here and play a game against the software to show it to you, but if you go back and look at some of my old print columns from way back in the day, do an internet search for T-Notes or Chess-Based Workshop, you'll find my old articles, and there will be a screenshot in there that will show you what the light looks like. It'll come up on the screen. There will be a little dashboard light that comes on, and it lights up. And you're going to know there is a tactic here. I need to find it. That's what that checkbox does. If you uncheck it, you don't get the little dashboard light, and you just have to rely on your own resources. It's up to you which way you want to do it. Because I'll tell you true, when you're playing in a chess tournament, you're sitting down at a weekend, 4-round Swiss or a quad, whatever it happens to be, you don't get a little red light that flashes on the chessboard and tells you there's a tactic on the board. So it's up to you as to whether or not you want to have that light appear. If you're afraid that light may become a crutch for you, because you don't get a little light coming on the chessboard when you're in a tournament, leave that unchecked. But I recommend that if you've never used if you've never used this feature before, check it leave a check in that box the first few times that you play it. Because you'll see what I'm talking about, and it'll give you a little better understanding, a little better grasp of how this feature works. That light will come on, and you will see a tactic. Now, the thing about the tactic is you still need to spot the tactic. A light does not come on and say pin or fork. Okay, it just comes on. The first time I ever used this feature, way back in the day, I got hoodwinked by it. Because the light came on, and I looked at the board, and I saw that my pawn could promote. The very next move, I could promote a pawn. But I didn't consider that to be a tactic, you see. It was just a pawn promotion. It's just a move to me. Okay, I'm going to trade this pawn in for a queen. So I didn't even look at it. I was looking for something else, and I thought I saw something fancier and made a knight move instead, and found out later by the software, wrong. It was the pawn promotion. So be aware that anything that wins material is considered a tactic by the software, and that includes pawn promotion. Because you're going to go up by an additional 8 points by trading that pawn in for a queen if you're looking at it from a point count standpoint. So pawn promotions do count. Just be aware of that, because I got fooled the first time I used this way back when. Difficulty. I get in so many arguments about this difficulty, the difficulty radio buttons. It's ridiculous. It really is. Because there are people out there that are really obtuse in that they think that everything has a rating. They're the kind of guys that when you meet them at a chess tournament, the first thing they say is, what's your rating? Not how do you do, nice to meet you, what's your rating? Everything has a rating. Even people that don't play chess have a rating, in their world. I keep getting asked, what is the ELO rating equivalent of each of these settings? It's got nothing to do with an ELO rating. Nothing. What very easy means is that the tactic will be very easy to spot when that little light comes on. The tactic will be easy to spot. And it'll be an easy tactic. It'll be a two-mover. It'll be a pawn promotion. really hard means it's going to be like a 7-move combination. Okay? It's going to be one of those things. You remember that guy, that Allwerman guy that spotted, what was it, a mate in 17 in that tournament years ago because he was using a computer, had a little earphone and that whole bit? It's a great story if you've never heard it. Go look it up. The guy's name was Allwerman. And he was this guy that came out of nowhere and was skunking everybody in this chess tournament. And then I don't think they ever proved it, but they had strong suspicions that this fellow was using a computer. Great story. And if you have the old Chess-Based magazine, go back and check out the video interview with Vishy Anand, where he just cracks up talking about this guy. It's awesome stuff. That's what really hard is. Really hard means that you're either going to have to be a top grandmaster, or Fritz, or Rybka, or Allwerman to spot this tactic. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a long combination. It's going to be something that's not very obvious. And then you have all the shades of gray in between. Now, one of the problems with the whole what's the rating thing is this. You get a little misled by the help file. I'll show you. If you click help here, and by the way, the help file is your best friend. I'm not always doing videos. I haven't covered everything in these programs yet, and I'm not always available. So click your help file. And what you see here in the second paragraph, I'll highlight it. You can select the grade of difficulty of the tactics that will be offered. Very easy is for players with an ELO of around 1400 and usually involves finding forks and 2-move combinations. Normal is meant for players between 1700 and 1900, and very hard is for players from 1900 all the way up to GMs. What this will lead people to believe, if you don't read it carefully, is that each of those settings that we were looking at corresponds to an ELO rating. It doesn't. It's just suggesting a setting for people of different ELO rating, because those of us who are mere mortals can use very easy, and we can spot those 2-move combinations. We can spot the pawn promotions. We can spot the pins and the forks and that kind of thing, because it's going to be pretty easy. But we don't spot those 17 movers. We don't spot those 10 movers. That's what really hard is. And you've got settings in between. So all this is right here is a suggested ELO rating. If you are rated X, use this setting. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with an ELO rating for these. Because it has nothing, because you can't really, I don't know that it's even possible to really rate Fritz or Rybka or whatever in this mode, because it's playing the opposite of the way people play chess. I'm not saying it's playing giveaway chess, but it's almost kind of the same idea. It's looking to get rid of stuff. It's looking to set up tactics for you to use against it. So it's trying to play, in a way, it's trying to play poorly and give you an opportunity, and not only give you an opportunity, but here under point out wins, it's actually saying, here, now's the time, do you spot it? It's like playing a game against your chess coach, if you have one, where he will play a game and he'll say, if I do that, then he can drop the knight there and it'll fork me. So he'll deliberately make poor moves and say, okay, now, do you see the tactic? And then you get to sit there and you feel all pressured and the sweat rolls, and you think, oh man, I'm going to mess this up and he's going to call me dumb. The cool thing about Fritz is Fritz doesn't call you dumb. And it does do these things where it sets these tactics up for you, and with the little point out wins box checked, the little light will come on and tell you the time is now, the tactic is on the board, find it. This is huge. This is an amazing, amazing feature of this software, and it's underutilized. And I know this because I talk to people. I talk to people who use Fritz and Rybka and Shredder and Hierarchs, and when I say sparring mode, they go, huh? Use this. This is really cool. This is where you get your tactics training against a software program during a game. There are tactical training features in Fritz, by the way. We've covered them in some of the first videos I did cover them. Attack and defense training and that type of stuff. This is where you're actually in a game situation, and the software is going to try to set up tactics for you to use against it. That is really cool. That is a really slick piece of programming. And if you haven't used it yet, use it. Try it. And you'll be amazed at this. It works, and it is really, really cool and really, really helpful. For those of us who don't play super GMs, for those of us who play Bob down at the chess club, where Bob is going to make mistakes, this is perfect for training against regular chess players that you meet in regular tournaments. do try Sparring Mode. Seriously, if you haven't done it, do it, and it's going to knock you on your butt. It's that cool. Next time around, we'll move on to another topic in Fritz and chess-based software. We've done 4 parts on handicap, fun, sparring, and friend modes in this software. Use them. They're there for the average player to use to get a competitive game without getting crushed. Use them. No one knows except you and Fritz. It's not a pride thing. If you're worried about, well, I can't possibly play against a piece of software that's tweaked down. Come on. Use it. It's here for you to use and here to help you improve. You don't benefit from playing against a piece of software that's playing at full strength. However, when you are analyzing a game using Fritz, using overnight game analysis, you want it as strong as you possibly can have it. But for playing, no. Just use these modes. It will make you a better player. Trust me on this one. Till next time at Chess-Based Workshop, please do have fun.